Fourth graders, it's Mr. Torbein back at it again for another math lesson. Today we are going to be working on lesson 4.12, and the title of today's lesson is Problem Solving Multi-Step Division Problems. So our central question is, how can you use the cubes strategy to solve multi-step division problems? Okay, again, we're not using the draw diagram, we're going to be using the cube strategy. So let's take a look at question number 3 on page 267. Follow along as I read. I'm going to show you the first example. Julio's dad bought 10 dozen potatoes. The potatoes were equally divided into 6 bags. How many potatoes are in each bag? Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I read a problem, I don't know how to solve it. I need to use a strategy that's going to help me. So please make sure you have your math notebook and go ahead and write your I can statement. Your I can statement is, I can solve multi-step division problems. Please take a moment and write that down. Thank you for writing. So let's take a look at this problem and let's break it down, okay? Now, I'm using my notebook so that way I can show you the strategy that you can use when you're solving the problems for your quick check today, okay? You can do it on your notebook or you can use a whiteboard. So Julio's dad bought 10 dozen potatoes. I know that's an important number that I need to circle, okay? The potatoes were equally divided into 6 bags. Now, there's another word here that maybe you don't know, dozen. Have you ever gone to the donut shop and ordered a dozen donuts? How many donuts do you get? Well, one dozen is equal to 12, okay? Not a baker's dozen, just a regular dozen, okay? The question reads, how many potatoes are in each bag? All right, I need to know how many potatoes are in each bag, okay? The B stands for box. The keywords that let me know what operation, how am I going to be solving this problem? So a dozen, I know that I need to multiply by 12, okay? That dozen is a word that I would box. And each, which means to multiply or divide, is another word that I would box, okay? Now, how do I know what to do? Which operation between multiplication and division? Well, there's another word in there, divided. Okay, so I know that the first step is going to have to do with multiplication, multiplying by 12 for a dozen. And then I am going to need to divide, okay? So when I'm evaluating the E in cubes, I need to think. So I'm going to think out loud and I'm going to record my thinking on the paper right here, okay? There are lots of ways to evaluate. This is the way that I'm going to do it. Now I know that it is multi-step, not just one step. If it was one step, I'd write one step. I know I'm going to need to multiply. Well, there are 10 dozen potatoes, so I'm going to need to multiply 10 times, and in a dozen, it's 12, okay? And I'll get some number of potatoes right there, okay? Sure you already know this. Now, I'm going to divide whatever that number is, and I'm going to divide that by, well, there are 6 bags. We're putting them into each bag, so I'm going to divide it by 6, and that will give me my answer, okay? So this is the hardest part. Circling the important numbers. As you can see, I wrote them down, the numbers with their unit. Underlining the question, make sure you understand what the question is asking you. Box the keywords, those are the words that are going to tell you how to solve the problem, okay? And evaluate. This is where you think out loud, you record your thinking, you draw a model to help you, use your base 10 blocks, whatever helps you to think about how to solve this problem. And now we can, okay. So again, the first step that we said was we were going to multiply 10 times 12. I know that 1 times 12 is 12, 1, 0, and we can use our place value trick. So we have 120. That's what that question right there represents. So 120 potatoes, okay? And we need to divide that number by 6. I'm going to use my long division method, okay? Now, this isn't the best method to use. I'm sure you might have thought of a more efficient way to solve this, but this is the way I'm going to use to show you something that we haven't seen in some of our other examples with long division. So 120 is the dividend, or the number that I'm dividing by, and I'm dividing by 6. That is my divisor, so it's going to go underneath my imaginary visor for my house method. Okay, 120 dividend goes in the house divided by 6. Okay, so here are my steps of long division written out to help me. I also have my top and my bottom chart. Okay, so since my divisor is 6, I'm going to be using multiples of 6 to help me to use my top and divide, and to use my bottom and multiply. So let's go ahead and begin. 1 divided by 6. We need to start in the largest place value, so the hundredths place. 1 divided by 6, I cannot do that, so I'm going to draw an arrow right there. Okay, now I have 12 tens, so 12 divided by 6. All right, let me use my multiples to help me. So 1 times 6 is 6. Remember that 6 divided by 6 is 1. 2 times 6 is 12. Oh, perfect. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So what goes on top? My 2 goes right there. What goes on bottom? My 12. Okay. I divided and I multiplied. That's what my top and my bottom chart helps me with. Okay. Now I need to subtract. So 12 minus 12 is 0. There's a digit in the next place value, so I need to bring down that digit. There's a 0 right there. Bring down. Now here is why I'm using long division to show you. Even though this right here is less than our divisor, there is a place value that we brought down. So if you bring down, you're going to need to repeat. Okay, so 0 divided by 6. It's 0. Okay, 0 times 6 is also 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. There's nothing to bring down, and there's nothing to repeat, and there is not a remainder. Our remainder is just 0. Now it's time to check our work. So how can we check our work? You may remember from the previous lesson that you check it by multiplying your quotient, my queen of the house up here, by your divisor, and if you did it correctly, it will equal your dividend. Okay, so because we have 120 divided by 6, we think it's equal to 20. That's going to be our answer, the number of potatoes that are in each bag. And so we're going to check it by multiplying 20 times 6. 20 times 6. I'm going to use the most efficient way and use my place value trick. 2 times 6 is 12. 1 0 is 120. So we checked our work with Chester. Okay, so how many potatoes are in each bag? The correct answer is 20 potatoes. All right, let's take a look at another example where I need your help. So I'm on number 4 on page 267. Please follow along as I read. So number 4, at the garden shop, each small tree costs $125, and each large tree costs $225. How much will 3 small trees and 1 large tree cost? So what I want you to do in your math notebook is to pause the video and to go ahead and see, just like I did on the last example, if you can fill out cubes. Circle each number, underline the question, box the key math terms, evaluate or think about how you're going to solve the problem. And remember, you can draw a picture. That's how I'll be solving it. And then we'll solve it together. Okay, so please pause the video to do cube right now. All right, thank you for pausing the video. So let's go ahead and take this step by step. So the numbers that I would circle are $125, because the question says each small tree costs $125, and $225 for each large tree, because it says each large tree costs $225. I would also circle 3 small trees and 1 large tree. Okay. The U, we're going to underline the question. So how much will 3 small trees and 1 large tree cost? How much will 3 small trees and 1 large tree cost? Hopefully you got the exact same thing I've gotten so far. Now, the key words that tell me that I'm going to, which operation I'm going to do are each. So each small tree costs $125. I'm going to be multiplying, because when you buy something, if you buy 5 things at the store and they're all $1, then you know that you need to multiply 5 times 1, and you need $5 to purchase them. So that's how I know it's multiplication, not division this time, okay? Now, we also have each for our large tree. So we'll be multiplying our small tree and our large tree. Now, and what operation do you think it meant this time? And means to add, okay? So those are the words that I would box because they'll tell me how we're solving it. And I know today's lesson has to do with multi-step division word problems, but this is an example where we're not dividing. They could be any operation, okay? Now, evaluate. When I think about this, I know that I'm purchasing 3 small trees that are each $125, okay? And 1 large tree that costs $225. So here I drew a model that can help me. Now, if you did it the way that I showed you in the last example, this is what it would look like. It is multi-step. I know that I need to multiply 3 small trees times 125 and get some number, okay? I know that I need to multiply 1 times 225 to get some number, and then I need to add those numbers up to give me my total cost. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this. Now, you've learned how to multiply and you know how to add, so please pause the video and you try solving this problem on your own. Thank you for pausing the video. Now let's solve it. I know that I need to multiply 125 3 times, so I'm going to use the algorithm to do that. 125 times 3. This is how you set up your algorithm, and you multiply times each place value, okay? We're not using turtle head method right here. We use turtle head method when we multiply 2-digit by 2-digit. So 3 times 5 is 15. I leave the ones. I regroup to the next place value. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7, so the 7 goes in my tens place. I do not need to regroup because it's less than 10. Now I multiply 3 times the last digit that I have left to multiply is 1. So 3 times 1 in the hundreds becomes 375, okay? 225 times 1 is 225. I'm sure you know that, but let me prove it to you using this algorithm. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2 tenths. 1 times 2 hundredths is 200. See how we get the same thing. All right, so 225. And let me know that I need to add, so I'm going to add 225 plus 375. Now, hopefully you notice all of my place values are nice and neat. They're all lined up, okay? Now I can add 5 plus 5 is 10. Leave the 1. Regroup to the next place value. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 7 is 10. Leave that. Regroup to the next place value. So 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So we have 600. So to answer the question, how much will 3 small trees and 1 large tree cost? Our final answer is $600. All right. Now, remember, our I can statement today is I can solve multi-step division problems, but there will be some problems in today's practice where you'll divide, and there will be some problems where you might not divide, okay? So really, I think a better I can statement is I can solve multi-step problems, okay? Multi-step math word problems. All right, so go ahead and do your must-dos. Have a wonderful, amazing Osprey day.